Chris.
Well, listen, Mark, listen, hold on. When I say, would you have caffeine today?
What the hell is that up to you then?
How much coffee did you drink before the show?
Listen, you can't polish a sneaker, right? throw tomatoes at me, do whatever you're going to do.
It's Corso and Catone.
Welcome in to Corso and Catone, the real deal, New England feel. And I'm joined as always by Mark Catone and your calls, 855-313-PATS, 855-313-7287. And Joe Guarnieri, our producer director, has got us up on YouTube with the live chat going. So chat in, call in. We want to hear from you. We got a good show tonight. We got a lot to talk about: Celtics, Bruins, Red Sox, Patriots, of course. And we're going to be joined by our NASCAR expert, Chad Campbell, later on in the show. But Mark, listen, let's get right into it. I mean, the Celtics, you know, they're the story right now, and we got Patriots talk to talk about. But you know, Celtics are in season, and look, it's still coming back to Danny Ainge. It's talking about what's the matter with the Celtics, and now people are starting to question, you know, Tatum and Brown and why aren't these guys motivated? So now Ainge says they're not good enough, and it's on him. Now he's saying it's on him. You know, before he said, you know, we don't have the right pieces. You know, we're not good enough to contend. Mark,
you can't get it. You can't get a straight answer out of him. He goes back and forth. He wobbles like a weeble. You know what I mean? He goes back and forth with his statements. He's actually making a fool of himself. Actually, I mean, just, you know, man up and say, hey, our roster's not good enough. I constructed it. I was wrong. I misjudged some of the talent on this team, and we're gonna make changes. Because they obviously need changes, Chris. You know, I understand Marcus Smart, obviously, is probably more of an important piece to this team than we even thought. Right? I'm thinking, but I also don't think Brown and Tatum are at the level we think they're at either, Chris. They're not there yet. And I don't know if they'll ever be there. I don't know. I mean, you want to talk about a top 5, 6, 7 guy in the league? Those are the guys that carry teams to championships. I don't know if either one of these guys have the DNA to do that. I'm not talking raw ability. I'm talking the DNA. It takes more to become one of those guys than just raw ability. You know, it takes leadership skills and different types of things where you want to be that macho guy on the floor and in the huddle. That doesn't seem to be part of their DNA, Chris.
Well, look, and I listen, I'm going to give Mark props, because last week, before on a show last week, Mark, you were saying this last week, talking about who do you blame? I asked you, who do you blame? And he said, I blame Danny Ainge. I blame Danny Ainge because of these things, and he's making the moves, and he hasn't made a good move free agent wise since Garnett and so on and so forth. And Mark, now he's coming out and saying basically the same stuff, the same crap that you were saying last week. And now the owner comes out, and so the owner comes out and says, wink here, there. He says, look, they're not good enough. We thought Kyrie was going to be there forever. Mark, how could this fool think something like? I mean, this guy, you know, how could you think something like that with how he performed, what he did in Cleveland?
Chris, I honestly think, I don't know. I don't know. Kyrie, I guess, sold him a bill of goods. I honestly think that when they brought him in, their initial conversations with him were, you're going to be here long term. And I think Kyrie agreed. And something, when he got here, turned him off, whether it was Stevens, whether it was, I'm going to go back to that DNA of Brown and Tatum, something turned Kyrie off real quick. And if you remember, Chris, it was like early spring, just before they said he was out for the season with his knee. You could tell Kyrie was done here.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, he came out and he told the fans, he told you people, you know, in front of the whole garden there, nah, this is where I'm going to be. This is where I want to be, and so on and so forth. You know, and that's Kyrie being Kyrie, and everybody just says that's Kyrie. But Mark, if you're Ainge, if you're Wink, if you're Stevens, if you're these guys that are deciding to bring this guy in, were you not paying attention to what the hell went on in Cleveland? I mean, were you not looking at that? Were you not looking at LeBron? You know, basically, LeBron called him a big baby. You know, and now here he comes over here, and look, I'm starting to wonder, and I keep going back and forth and wondering to myself, okay, so Was Kyrie right about the young guys and Brown and Tatum and about those guys doing what's necessary to get things done? Because look, I mean, he's in Brooklyn right now. And he's getting it done there. I mean, they're getting it done. They're playing, they're working and playing well with others. And you're dealing with a coach has less pedigree than Stevens does, and Nash. I mean, yeah, Nash has the respect of a former player.
But I was going to say, but Nash played.
Yeah, right? He played, but nonetheless,
Nash was a good player, Chris. He was
a good player, and he was a good leader. But I'll tell you something I saw the other day. I'm watching a Nets game, and they're in the huddle. And Kyrie's talking and Harden. It was Harden that was talking. He was giving instructions to the team, and behind him, now the huddle is like here, and Harden's talking to them, and behind them, out of the huddle is Nash. And Nash is standing there with him.
But Chris, if you look at the last three teams that LeBron's won championships with.
And
that's what the huddle has looked like on those three teams. He did it with Cleveland. He did it even with Miami because Spolstra was almost like a rookie coach at the time when they brought him in down there to win championships. And even now with the Lakers, that guy's not a coach. The guy at the Lakers, he's not coaching that team. So I don't know. Maybe
you see all the veterans do it. You see Brady do it. You see LeBron do it. You see guys like this, and now that seems to be the trend across the league, right? Yeah. Is that these guys are now
and I'm going to be honest with you, Chris. That's not Tatum and Browns. They're not. That's not them yet. And I don't know if it ever will be, but that's not them. So Brad Stevens is going to have to get in the huddle and coach, and I get that. But they just don't have. They need an alpha male to come in there to lead this team, and I think Kyrie wanted to be, but for some reason, he just couldn't mesh with Tatum and Brown. But they need that alpha male, and they don't have it. Smart, I think, has that. He has that about him, but he doesn't have the skill level to be that alpha male. He thinks in his head he is. He thinks he's better than he really is. But you need somebody with smarts, moxie, and Tatum and Brown's ability. You need to like put those two, make like one player out of all of that.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, then, the question I have to ask then is where did this go off the rails? Okay. I mean, was it Kyrie leaving? Was it Hayward leaving? Was it Horford? When did this thing go south on them, Mark? Because I mean, they were in the Eastern Conference Finals, 3 years in a row, I want to say.
They were.
So where did it go sideways then? If you want to take the bubble out of it,
well, Chris,
take the bubble out of it because the bubble was just but the 2 years prior, they're in the conference final.
Well, because Chris, I think if you look at the construction of the team, one team had Horford and Rozier, and they had other pieces of guys that were veterans.
Morris,
Rozier wasn't. Morris, like they had other guys, Chris, that could contribute. They have nothing other than their 5 guys, 6. What, they got 6 guys? They got nothing. Look at that bench, Chris. I mean, it's horrible.
Yeah,
they got nothing. You got 5 or 6 guys, and then the rest of the guys, they're lucky they're in the league.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the argument can be made that this thing went.
And Ainge put that together.
Yeah, I guess the argument can be made that this thing went south when Kyrie left. Yeah. But the thing about it is, because here's the problem.
Chris, they had in their head when they brought in Kyrie, their grand plan was always to bring in Kyrie. You got Brown and Tatum, and all of a sudden you would be able to recruit Anthony Davis to come here. And that didn't happen.
Well, look, I mean, because remember when they made, which was a great deal, which was a great move by Ainge, selling off, Garnett, Pierce. That was supposed to be the death of Brooklyn, right? Mm-hmm. That was supposed to be their death and the Celtics' rebirth, right?
That's what Brooklyn's back.
And now Brooklyn's back because of this whole Kyrie. So to me, it sort of went off the rails when Kyrie left. And then you throw Hayward into the mix too.
But Chris, I'm glad you brought up that Brooklyn deal. So that's a perfect example. Okay, great. You brought in Tatum and you brought in Brown with some of those picks, I think, that you got from Brooklyn, which is great. You got 2 young guys now, stars, right? But that also shows you how inconsequential the draft picks up. Brooklyn gave up all their draft picks, and lo and behold, they're the number one team right now in the league to win a championship because they brought in 3 free agents.
Well, right now, look, yeah, and so if you talk about
you
that,
bring in Durant, you bring in Harden, you trade for Harden, you bring in Irving. You don't need draft picks. They haven't had a first round draft pick in years.
No, you have
of the Celtic trade,
and you have to believe that if Kyrie stayed on this team, Durant was not far behind, right?
Well, somebody would have been here. You eventually would have got a veteran to come here, a star to play with him. You would have. Who it would have been, I don't know, but he would have eventually recruited somebody, Chris, to play with these guys.
Well, so
and
now
maybe, and if that happened, though, Chris, you may not have been able to give a max contract to Tatum and Brown. You might have had to get rid of one of them to bring in the veteran.
Well, the screw out about it, Mark, is you may end up getting one of those guys anyway.
Yeah.
That may end up happening anyway.
You're
and
right,
so
Chris.
now
Right.
That's even worse. That's even further.
Right.
You go further. Okay. So at this point, so they're missing that third guy. I mean, they're missing that third guy to need. So the guy that's playing well right now is Kemba. So Kemba's in the last 3 games, Kemba's averaging 28 points a game.
Yeah.
Now I get it. It's only 3 games. And the problem with him is the consistency, the knee, the issues, the injury issues, the consistency of it. But you see him staying on the court now. You see him, and you hope to believe that that's going to become a trend and he's going to do that. However, should there be some thought right now, and I'm not sure what you can get for him, because look, what this team needs is a third guy and or the role guys on the bench, the Morris, that kind of guy, the Eddie House, the guys that did play the dirty work, did their job, played the role. I love Walter, all of that stuff, right? Can you trade Kemba and get either or? Can you get that third guy, or can you get some?
You're not going to get this. You're not getting that third guy for Kemba, Chris.
No, I don't mean the third guy that's a superstar. I mean the third guy that can score, but he's not going to be. He's not Anthony Davis. He's not. He's not.
But Chris, but if you get rid of Kemba, But if you get rid of Kemba, who's going to take that position?
Well, because the problem, Mark, the thing is, you don't need Kemba. You don't need a scorer at the point guard
Chris,
position.
The last 2 games that they've won have been because of Kemba.
They
probably would have lost 2 more games in a row.
I understand that, but technically speaking, if Brown and Tatum are right, you don't really need the point guard to be a scorer. You need a guy to facilitate at that state. Pritchard could turn out to be that guy, or you could bring another guy in with some role guys. Point I'm making is, if Tatum and Brown are going to be your staples and they're going to be your scorers, then if Kemba right now is the only asset other than Brown and Tatum, which they clearly don't want to move on from, then I think you have to consider moving this guy to get something.
You're right. I just don't know. I just don't know what you'll get for him, because he's damaged goods, Chris. Everybody in the league knows he's one tweak away from being out for the season with that knee, right? So you may get a bench guy for him. I just don't know how good of a bench guy you'll actually even get, because, like I said, he's damaged goods. And the other thing with Brown and Tatum, Chris, you mentioned, you need someone to facilitate if they're on their game and they're scoring. I would argue they need to facilitate. They get nobody else involved in the game.
Yeah, right now it's hero ball. It's
hero ball. So I think they need to do some facilitating themselves.
Yeah, it's getting
and
real
I'm not saying the roster is constructed for them to do that necessarily. But if you brought in some other pieces, they're going to have to facilitate to get those guys involved, Chris.
Well, yeah, Mark, because it is hero ball. It's isos. Yeah. It's pull up, throw a shot in from behind the 3-point. 4 feet past the 3-point line, throwing that shot up, that fadeaway 3-pointer. That Tatum, rather than get to the hole. Now the other night, this just goes to show you, and I think it was against the Wizards, where is he just out dueling Bradley Beal, his buddy, his friend? Is that what he's doing? I would love to trade.
I would love to trade for Bradley.
Yeah,
Beal.
well, here's the thing though. So he's 12. He was 12. He ended 12 of 22, which is terrible. That's a crap percentage, Mark. He ends 12 of 22, but he scored 31 points. Now, by the end of the third quarter, I think he had like 20 points, 21, 20, something like that. And in the fourth quarter, he went off. But did he go off in order to match Beal? Because Beal scored 41 in that game. Was he trying to match him? Did he even give a crap about who else was involved, because it seemed to me to be a lot of hero ball, and it's getting annoying as hell to watch that. That plus the lack of leadership by these two guys. Now, I know they're young, but Mark, they're young, but they're guys that have been in Eastern Conference Finals.
Well, Chris, I was just going to say they're not that young anymore, Chris. The years are ticking, man. I mean, they've been in the league. I mean, Brown's been in the league, what, 4 years? I mean,
yeah.
Eventually, you're going to have to say, okay, now, you have to take that jump to the next level. I mean, this may just be what these guys give you.
And I think it's a sign of what it is today too, because you see Brown. Okay, now Brown is out. He's out with an injury. You can't tell me. You cannot. Nobody's going to sit there and tell me. And if you people think I'm wrong, then I want to hear from you right now. Because you can't tell me that he's sitting out. Okay, he's sitting out because he's resting up for that All-Star game. That's a big deal to these guys. They're All-Stars together now, the first time together, and they're going out there and they're playing with all their buddies to show up. That's he. In my opinion, he's resting up to get. There's no doubt in my mind that he's resting up to get ready for the All-Star game. So instead of getting better for Celtics games, he's getting better for an All-Star game. Mark, if that doesn't speak to what the hell it is today in this game, Larry Bird would lose his mind. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
over things like this.
Those days are gone.
Well, but you know what I'm saying? I mean, but I don't think LeBron does that. I don't think LeBron is that way. I mean, he came out and said how absurd was to play.
Well, we've been having an All-Star game, yeah. He did.
So he would choose not to do it. Guys like Brady skipped the Pro Bowl. This guy's resting up to play in the All-Star game. If that doesn't say that's a problem, I don't know what is. And Mark, the other question is this. To me, they need their ass kicked by somebody.
Well, that's not Stevens.
Right. If you want to say they're young guys and say, okay, they're young and, they don't really – well, then they need their ass kicked by somebody. Yeah, so who's going to do it?
Yeah, that's not Stevens.
No, he's not going to do it. He's not going to do it. And the question I have is why? Why is it today you can't get in these guys' faces anymore? Why?
Well, Chris, Whatchamacallit said that there's no – not that you're supposed to fear your coaches, but I guess it's a level of respect. And he used the word fear, and I don't – and then he said, I don't mean fear as in afraid, but he meant it more as a respect type of thing. Was Kendrick Perkins said that these guys, you got like Theus and Tice and Tristan Thompson, they're getting rebounds instead of looking up and kicking the ball out to guys that are wide open. They're throwing the ball back up off the top of the backboard. It's a missed shot. He said there's no fear of Stevens getting in their grill and saying, sit on the damn bench. You got the guys open, kick the ball out. He don't do that. He just lets them do it.
Mark, even 2 years ago, even with Kyrie there,
come on.
Stevens' brand was you're going to play good defense and the ball's going to move. The ball's going to move. It's going to move from side to side. They're going to cross court and it's going to move.
Anymore. I don't know.
No, it doesn't happen. It's disgusting. You know why? Tatum's got this chip commercial now. A potato. They're more worried about this potato chip brand that he's got his face on the potato chip bag than they are about playing basketball.
Well,
which is what this was, which speaks to where we are in this country right now, too, Mark.
At some point, Chris, they're gonna have to make a decision. Do you try to use one of those guys as your chip to bring in a different star? You trade one. If we want to consider them young stars, do you trade one young star for another young star and change the DNA of this team? I don't know. That's something that's gonna have to be decided. I mean, how long do you roll with both of them? Maybe one of them has to go to bring in another young star of equal value. Maybe they need to change the scenery and another guy needs to change his scenery.
But the problem is, if it needs to be a star that can run the ship.
No, I agree. Or
you got to change the coach.
No, I agree with that. Chris. Yeah.
Or you got to change the coach. It's got to be a guy like LeBron that can get in the huddle and take care of it himself.
You're not going to get a guy like him, but
you know what I mean. The type of guy that Nash is standing behind Harden instead of standing in front. Either that, or you get some guy who doesn't give a rat's ass about getting in somebody's face and getting in somebody's grill, regardless. So I don't know if it's issues of. I don't know if it's I'm not falling on one side or another. I don't care about that. But I don't know if it's social issues or what's going on in the world and the country where these coaches can't come down on these guys. They can't bust their chops and they just can't do it. It doesn't seem to be happening anywhere. It just seems like the players, they could do what they want. They can request trades to go anywhere. Contracts mean nothing anymore to anyone, and so that seems to be what's happening. But the one thing I will get on Stevens about, okay, Williams. To me, Williams should be starting right now. How the hell are you coming out with, and I'm not saying I understand how Tice played down the stretch, okay? I understand, all right, how Tice played down the stretch in that Wizards game. But they always, first of all, I don't like the fact that they start the game with two centers. That's the first thing, the two bigs. Tristan Thompson, really?
Well, Chris,
Williams should be starting over
Williams
him,
gives you a heck of a lot more upside.
The athleticism is off the charts.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand he doesn't get back all the time. He screws up on defense here and there.
And he does get silly fouls sometimes.
He gets into foul trouble. But that's young. You're going to have to live with that. But that guy should be starting. That guy should be playing more. And that's squarely on Stevens right now. I'm not sure what the hell he's doing over there. But,
he claims he's trying to manage
we got to get the break.
He claims he's trying to manage him and rest him because he's had some injuries, Chris, and he wants him for the long haul. And allegedly now, I read this somewhere that he's going to turn him into a big minutes guy as you get further into the spring and into the playoffs. Well, I'm waiting to see if that's actually the truth. I don't know.
We'll see what happens. When we come back, we got it. Somebody just chatted in. Not sure the name, but there's an L on the side. I'm not sure what that means. You know me with technology, but someone's chatting in. Who is the all-time GOAT, Michael Jordan or Tom Brady? It's an interesting question. And you know what? We'll get to that on the other side. More Corso and Catone after this.
It's that time again for a timeout for a message from one of our sponsors. No one ever thinks they will be in the need of a criminal or traffic lawyer, but things happen. Corso Law Group is Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Their 20-plus years experience and attention to detail has helped thousands of people all across this great country who found themselves in a situation in Arizona. So whether it's a traffic ticket or if you need reduced DUI or more serious issues, call or go online to CorsoLawGroup.com and talk with these expert attorneys who I know will help you. Corso Law Group.
Back in with more Corso and Catone, thanking the people over at Corso Law Group, and I especially want to thank them. I wouldn't be able to do what I do without the good people over there picking up the slack. So Mark, the question that was the chat, and the question was posed to us is, before we get to the Bruins, who is the all-time GOAT, Michael Jordan or Tom Brady? What do you got, Mark? One's got 6, one's got 7, What do you think? I'll let you go first.
Listen, I think they're 1 and 1.
I'm hanging Mark right up.
You're hanging me. You're going to hang me, Chris. I think they're 1 and 1A, but
you know what?
Listen,
that's crap.
What?
You know what? That's garbage, Catone. Come
what?
on. 1 and 1A. Come on, pick somebody.
I'm gonna pick somebody. If somebody's 1A, then I'm gonna pick somebody.
Pick 1 and 2.
All right. Well, 1.
So
listen,
the GOAT is GOA.
The fans in New England aren't gonna like this, but at 1, I'm gonna pick Michael Jordan.
Okay. Hey, listen.
And the only reason I'm gonna pick Michael Jordan is because Michael Jordan.
There's no wrong answer here.
Michael Jordan actually changed the game of basketball. What he did had never been seen before. Yes, Brady's got 7 championships, absolutely, and no one's ever done that. So what he's done, no one's ever done before. However, his physical ability on the field, what Jordan did on the basketball court, you'd never seen anyone do before. What Brady does, leadership-wise and things like that, I get it. But what he does on the field, there's been other quarterbacks who have done that, right? I mean, and that's my deciding point factor between the greatest of all time. I'll go with Jordan, but Brady is just behind him, and I'll say Brady's too, in my opinion.
So Jordan's GOAT and Brady's Goa. We'll end at the end.
That's my opinion. What do you think? What do you say, Chris?
Listen,
Did the caller tell us who they rated?
No, and let us know. Who do you think?
Let us know. Chat back in. Tell us if you agree with us.
Tell us who you think is the GOAT. But my take on this is, and I don't think there's a wrong answer here.
I don't think
there's a wrong answer, but I will come down on one side. I understand. And here's the thing, and it's actually a great comparison because you're comparing the two best players of their sport of all time.
Yep.
Okay. So now you're comparing apples to apples now. It isn't like, well, I'm comparing LeBron to Brady or Russell to Brady. It's Jordan, it's Brady. So, and I don't think anybody questions whether or not Brady's the best ever football player. Nope. Now that he's got 7, I think he surpassed Jerry Rice. So my whole take on this is I look at Jordan and I understand what you're saying.
I know what you're going to say. I know what you're going to say.
You don't know what I'm going to say. Get the hell out of here.
I already know what you're going to say.
Look, here's the thing, okay? Hey, yeah, I'm a football guy, but honestly, listen. Damn it, Mark, listen to my analysis. So I get it. Jordan, he changed the game, like you say. He completely changed the game. He completely just completely blew up that all-star superstar. Before that, I mean, you had Magic, you had Jordan, you had, Magic, Bird, and these guys, Dr. J, so on and so forth. But they still operated within the team concept also. Now, I'm not saying Jordan didn't, but on his own, he needed pieces because before Pippen came, he didn't win championships. And that's one of the reasons why I'm going to pick Brady too, is because
Brady had Bill.
Brady did it with less. Okay. Brady did it with less than Jordan did. And the one thing Jordan didn't do is go win in another team. And that's something Jordan never did. He won 6 with Chicago, and then he went to Washington, he went to other places or whatever. He went and then couldn't get those teams right. Now, he was advanced in age and so on, but he can't be more advanced in age than 43 years old, Mark.
No, you're right.
Brady did it for longer. Okay. 21 years, I think. 21 years.
This, Chris, though,
with less. Wait a minute. Chris, Brady had so much less talent.
If he didn't leave to go play baseball, he would have had more than 6.
Maybe, perhaps,
he
didn't have that problem
to go play baseball, and then he came back, and he had a year where he had to get himself in condition, and this. So he had like a 3-year gap in his prime.
Yeah, I mean, if he didn't have that issue, if he didn't have that issue with the general manager over there, that slob in
Krause
in Chicago, he probably could have won more. But probably isn't reality.
Oh no, I agree with you.
And the bottom line is, when you look over Brady's career, other than 2007. Okay, where he had, that was the first time he had a ton of talent with Randy Moss, Stallworth, Welker, so on and so forth. And he just exploded that year with 50 touchdowns and a near perfect season. That's something. But every other year, who did he have, Mark? Givens, Branch, Bethel Johnson. I mean, he had guys that, just were no names. And he just made them better. And we just saw last year what happens when he's gone. And he goes into Tampa, that joke of a franchise. He goes to Tampa and he wins a Super Bowl in the first year. No, I don't think it's a question. Been in the league for a long time and he's truly left his mark. Yeah, I mean, look, longevity means something. It matters. You know what I mean? It makes a difference. The fact that he's been in 21 years and has been successful. And here's the other thing. Jordan took some time to get to championships. Brady didn't. I mean, Brady, he came in 2001, boom, he won the Super Bowl. Now, I get it. There were other reasons, and I'll give Bill the credit for those years. Okay, I'm going to give Bill a lot of credit for those years. Good defenses, good schemes, so on and so forth. But Brady won immediately, and he continued to win. He continued to be in the playoffs every year, win 17, 18 division titles. I mean, the numbers are stupid. They're just ridiculously stupid. So I get it, but that's why I give the nod to Brady in this situation. But I don't think you can go wrong with either guy. I mean, they're both the best at their sport that ever did it. But I'll argue, I'll say the other thing too, and I'll say this to the caller or the person chatting in. We've always argued that the most difficult position in all sports, in all of sports,
I knew you were going to say this,
is quarterback. Is this the thing you thought I was going to say?
Yeah, I knew. I was waiting. I was waiting.
So now you could tell everybody you were right. You were right. The 30 years we've known each other, now he knows. But I mean, it's the toughest position to play
No,
in
it
all of
is.
sports.
It is.
So if you're the best that ever did it, then, ergo, that's
Yeah.
it. You win that battle. So Mark, so I hope that answers your question. That long, drawn out answer by Mark, he just goes on and droned on with Jordan. Wrong answer, Mark. So no. But listen,
Chris, you know what? You know what? Too, I was watching some footage the other day. They were showing some old games on the NBA Network, but it's that thing, Chris. Too, you forget what this guy actually could do on a basketball court because you haven't seen him play in so long. It was actually insanity what he could do on a court. Like you really got to go watch a Bulls game when he was in his prime.
Yeah,
you got to catch one day, Chris, and you'll say to yourself, oh my God, people compare LeBron to him. Are you kidding me? There's not even a comparison, Chris. When you go watch one of those games from the early 90s or late 80s, it's insanity. Insanity what he could do on a basketball court. It's nuts.
The only thing I will say, though, in LeBron's defense is...
Oh, please don't give me that LeBron BS like the rest of these
No.
morons.
LeBron isn't Jordan.
Look,
I'm not saying LeBron is Jordan, although he's won. How many has LeBron won at this point?
3, 4.
No, he won
4. He only won 4.
3. He won. Didn't he win?
He won one. He won 1 in Cleveland. He won 2 in Miami, and he won 1 in LA. He's got 4.
Okay, all right, 4. I thought he won 3 in Miami.
No, 2.
Okay, so he's won 4, but the only
he will not get 6. He won't get 2 more.
No, he's not going to get 2 more. But here's the thing: the one thing I'll say about LeBron, and not about LeBron individually, but LeBron's era, is the athletes, Mark, weren't as good as the athletes are today. I mean,
they weren't as good. They weren't as good.
I don't mean they weren't good basketball players.
But they also changed the rules, Chris, now for these guys. If you blow on a jersey, they call a foul. If you blow on LeBron, he's crying for a foul. I would have loved to have seen him play against the bad boys. Detroit would have threw Lambeer and freaking Mahorn would have threw him on the ground and stepped over him.
Yeah, the rules were different.
On,
but Mark, but again, it's I'm not sure if I'm saying it right.
Remember Johnny Most? Remember Johnny Most? McFilthy and McNasty.
Yeah. Throw him out of the building. Throw him out of the building. He should be put in jail. He used to say about he hated Lambeer.
Oh, he hated him.
Somebody needs to punch him.
He hated him. Absolutely hated him.
But
now we're showing our age.
But seriously, I mean, look, those guys were basketball players.
Yeah, they
okay.
were.
There's a difference between basketball players and what we're seeing today.
Yeah.
You understand what I mean by that. I don't think people understand what I'm saying. That they played within the framework of the scheme of what they were doing basketball wise. They moved the ball. There was a lot of scheming that allowed these players to be as good as they were. Now it's so individual. And, the rules have changed. They're able to do that. Man, there's no traveling anymore. These guys walk constantly. I mean, they don't call it. That's it. They just don't call it. So
that was a good chat in, Chris.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Special Sauce Podcast, we always appreciate. Good sponsor, log on, but they come in, he totally agrees with me, Mark. Totally agrees with me.
Oh, that's because they're New England people, Chris. What do you think they're going to say? The guy from Chicago is better?
Yeah. Brady's done it with different players, different teams. That has to be the defining factor. So, okay.
Right. So I'll give it to him.
Moving on, Mark, we got to talk about the Bruins a little bit because, they're playing well. There's the record, but, Mark and I are skeptical. I'm skeptical. They came back out of Tahoe. They had that 7-2 loss. They just can't figure out the Islanders, Mark.
No, they can't.
They're 0-3, 0-4.
You want to avoid them in the playoffs. That's for sure.
Well, the good thing about the playoffs, Mark, is the teams that give them trouble, they don't have to play. I mean, they can come out of the division without playing Tampa or playing New York. They can come out of the division without doing that.
No, they could.
So they can get deep into the playoffs before they have to see those guys.
Before they have to see one of those teams. Yeah, you're right.
But yeah, okay. So they come out of the Tahoe, and now they lose that game 7-2, which is a bad loss. But some may chalk that up to the body clock coming out of Tahoe. You're tied. You're
and Chris, those couple of games that they played bad, they had definitely guys out on defense that were banged up after that Tahoe trip.
Well, yeah, so then they follow back with a 4-1 impressive loss against the Rangers. So when we look at the type of team that they are, again, they're getting better 5-on-5. DeBrusque continues to be an issue. Now he's moved to the third line.
Yeah.
Okay. The special teams are still good. Mark, they need a scorer, right? I mean, they still need a scorer. Okay. And so
They do.
when you look at what can be done out there, you look at some of the guys around the league, guys that you would want to bring in to help with this, guys like Young, Hall, Forsberg. The problem is the Bruins have a terrible farm system. They have no capital. You're not going to give away.
The young guys they do have are all on the NHL roster.
Right. You're not going to give away McAvoy.
No.
Who's probably arguably their best player. I think McAvoy's one of their best players.
Yeah,
right
McAvoy's turning into one of the better defensemen in hockey.
So what are you going to give up? Hockey. I mean, to give any of those guys, and the rumor that we had that I've heard over the weekend was now Buffalo wants to get, they want to move on from Jack Eichel there. Okay.
Though that might cost, center. I would definitely go after him, but that'd cost you some capital, Chris.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. What's it going to cost for them to do the same? Now he's a center. Okay. Yeah. He's not a wing, but what's it going to cost, Mark?
But
are they going to want McAvoy?
Well, how old is Eichel? Eichel's young, isn't he? What is he, 25, 26?
He's
27 maybe?
Joe can find that for us. I'm not sure, but yeah, he's in that range.
Eichel's not too old, I don't think. Is he?
I don't think he's less than 27 or so. But he's not. That's not old in hockey. I mean, he still has good years left.
Well, that's my point. He's probably got a good 3-4 years left, 5 years left in him. So what's it going to take? I mean, I wouldn't give a McAvoy for him. I don't think you can. I don't think you can give a McAvoy. I mean, and other than him, Chris, like you said, what else do you have to give up?
Would you give up Pastrnak? Would you give up Pastrnak?
No. And I'll say this, because it's not even skill level for skill level. It's just Pastrnak has become the leader of this team, Chris. And I think you would absolutely destroy the chemistry of this team if you get rid of him. You can't get rid of him.
Here's what
not for Eichel. Not for Eichel.
Well, here's the thing, though.
If Edmonton wants to get crazy and give you the guy David,
when I look at Eichel, I look at Pastrnak. Now, Pastrnak, he doesn't get back on defense.
Pastrnak, I believe, is younger too, Chris.
He is younger, but he doesn't get back on defense. He's sloppy in that end.
Yeah, he is.
Okay, but
I don't know how much Eichel gives you on defense either.
He's a center. He's a center that'll get back and play defense. Yeah. He will. But the Pastrnak is one of your leading. He's a leading goal scorer in the league, right? So I don't know, Mark. It's definitely worth a look.
You can make up for Pastrnak not getting back and doing that defensive stuff, Chris, if you got defensemen that can move the puck, right? And these young defensemen they got seem to be able to move the puck out of the zone. They're not necessarily, when they had Claude Julien, they had those guys that banged, went in the corners, dug the puck out. These kids don't play that type of defense, but they move the puck. They can, you know what I mean? It's a different style. A defense, they can move the puck as defensemen. So I'm hoping they can do enough to protect Pastrnak in that role where he doesn't. I mean, we know he's a little lazy. He doesn't do that stuff, right? But
yeah, it's gonna have. My feeling is it's gonna have to come within. They're gonna have to do it from within. And Mark, I'll tell you what.
You could pick up a piece like the other.
Well, look, no matter
week's
what
show, you were saying maybe a smaller piece, maybe a veteran who could give you maybe this year just to win a cup. Well, that you could probably pull off with the guys you got to give up.
Look, to me, no matter what.
What did you bring up? Sidney Crosby last week, right?
Yeah, I mean, if Pittsburgh's willing to move on from him, and then what's it going to cost? As far as financially.
But at his age, financially it would cost you, but I don't think it would cost you much to get him. At his age,
depending on how bad he wants out of there. But Mark, the point I was going to make is it's got to come from within, and I think that the way this team is shown so far, and you could see it in Bergeron, he's leading the charge on this. They're tough. They're a tough, hard-nosed hockey team. They'll get in your face. They'll fight. Richie was fighting at the end of the game. Game ended. He was fighting.
I like that. I like that. I like that.
Fredrickson and
Yeah,
Bergeron.
How about
Bergeron got in there.
Fred, your buddy? You love Fredrickson. He's
I love
yelling
that
at guy. He's yelling at guys from the bench.
I love that guy, man.
He's like
I love
an
that guy.
old school hockey player.
But no matter what, they've got to move on from DeBrus. They've got to get rid. They've got to trade him for whatever they can get. You know, get a second line, get a third line.
You don't think he can be fixed?
No, I don't think so. He's moved on. He's down on the third line now, and I think that's basically a message to say we just can't. You can't. We're not making you go. You're not making you go. It's just not. Yeah. So what is this team? They're scrappy. I think they don't need to play the tough guys to get out of that division in the playoffs. So they can go. They can make a deep run because Mark, at some point, Krejci's up next year. He's probably gone, and Rask is probably gone next year.
Oh yeah, Rask is going too. Yeah, you're not going to.
So guys. Whatever you do, you got to make a push now. I mean, Bergeron's not getting any younger. Marchand's not getting any younger.
This is probably their last chance.
Yeah,
right.
I think you're right.
If not this year, maybe next year. And then, Chris, like you said, they don't have much in the farm system, so they may have to. And I use the analogy of the Patriots. They may when this crew that's been around for a while together, Bergeron and Marchand and Krejci and Rask, when they go, it may be a little bit of a rebuild because you don't have the young guys to bring up.
Yeah. And we got to get to break, but I want to get to a couple of chats here. I got a lot of people chatting in tonight. AZ Dutchman wants to know, will Devin Booker and the Suns make a run for the NBA championship? They've got potential. Listen, Mark, when it comes to the Suns, I think at that piece they added with Chris Paul, and I appreciate it, Dutchman. Thank you for the chat. But listen, they putting Chris Paul on this team really, really did something for them. I like this team. They're a fast-paced team. They get out and run. They're good on the break.
Chris, they're good defensively. I was going to say in the playoffs, can they play a little defense? You think?
I think so. I mean, I think they can get back. They have a couple of bigs that can be okay. But Booker, yeah, man, that guy's a player.
I'll tell you what, Chris, man. If Anthony Davis doesn't come back to full strength, and that type of an injury he got, it could take him until next season to get back to full strength. And if the Lake is on 100%, let me tell you something, the West is wide open. Why can't it be Phoenix? The West is wide open if Davis isn't healthy.
Utah. People don't understand how good Utah is. They have it at every level. They get back on defense. They're good on the break. They got speed. They can shoot. They got bigs. That team is poised to just go right past the Lakers right now. And they're doing it. But do I think the Suns can compete this year for a championship? Maybe not this year. I think if they add one more piece, and I think guys will want to go there, Mark. I do. I think guys will want to go there. You know, hey, guys like maybe Tatum and Brown. And by the way, Tatum wants to play with Beal. So, but he's not going to chase Beal into Washington. They stink. It would have to be Beal coming to Boston. That's a topic for next week.
Well, yeah, I was just going to say, would you put a package together that included Brown for Beal?
I would. Okay. I want Beal on this team. Okay. I'll take Beal on this team. I would do that. I would do that in a second.
So you would give up Brown if you could bring Beal in here?
I would absolutely do that. I know Beal's older. I understand. Yep. But I would absolutely do that. You know why? Because you'd get the third piece to come in. You would get the third piece to come in and play.
Yeah, you probably. You know what, Chris? You probably would. You're right. And then you could win a championship.
So when we come back and, we want to talk to Ethan. Ethan chats in, how much longer will Lamar Jackson be in the NFL if he keeps playing this style that he has now? And that's Ethan. That's a great question.
They've been.
Mark, let's get to it on the other side when we talk Patriots. But Ethan, that's a fantastic question, and we're going to address that on the other side. More Corso and Catone after this. Back in with more Corso and Catone. And listen, Mark, I don't know, had a few technical difficulties with there. We'll get Special Sauce Podcast, the sponsor. We'll get you on next commercial break. But listen, log on. Go to Special Sauce
awake?
Podcast.
What's going on with Joe? Is he awake today?
Joe, are you with us? Joe.
Come on, Joe.
So
Totally me.
There he is. Is our producer director, Joe Guarnieri. Joe, what's the story?
Joe.
What's the story with
got me all
special?
confused with all the chats. There's just too many things going on at the same time.
Okay,
There
well,
we go.
we're
All
gonna
right.
give Special Sauce Podcast their props. We'll get to them at the next break. Make sure you log on to their site. Excellent company. Ethan, listen. Can Lamar, Mark, you answer that question. I know you're not going to be at a loss for words for this one.
I love Lamar. Chris, I love Lamar. Chris, I love Lamar Jackson. He should have He should have Mahomes' contract.
Ethan, you opened up Pandora's box right now. You opened it up for Mark. Go ahead, Mark.
Chris, I'm going to be honest with you. I think Baltimore is hesitating because supposedly Jackson wants a long-term deal.
Harbaugh knows.
And nothing's been worked out. Harbaugh knows. He ain't going to publicly say. Harbaugh knows. So here's my thing with Lamar Jackson, right? He's an incredible athlete, and what he does better than anybody in the league, right? What he does running around and all those RPOs and all that stuff, right? But he can't throw the football. Unless the guy's 20 yards wide open. And even when he is, next time you watch a Baltimore Ravens game, Ethan, watch him throw the ball. Even if a guy is 20 yards behind coverage, the ball's wobbling. He doesn't throw a tight spiral ever, unless it's a 2-yard pass out of the backfield, screen pass to a running back. He can't make he can't make all the throws. Never mind that throw. He can't make all the throws. That's without question. And he just can't. He's just not a true passer. Has his passing get better? A little bit, but he's not. I'm not a fan of Lamar Jackson. I never will be a fan of Lamar Jackson. He's never ever going to win a Super Bowl as a quarterback. Defenses will shut him down because he can't make the throws.
Well, they did. I mean, they did last season.
They have 2 years in a row.
Who beat the Ravens last year?
Baltimore Buffalo.
And who else beat Baltimore this
past
season?
We beat them.
That's right. And they shut down the New England Patriots. Shut down Lamar Jackson.
That was a rain and windstorm.
I don't care. Look, the bottom line is,
Ethan, if you have never seen the clip, YouTube, it was the Pro Bowl Skills Challenge. See if you could find that on YouTube, Ethan. You probably can. And watch him throw the ball in the Skills Challenge. He couldn't hit a damn target. They had a wide receiver or something, I think he was, or a running back, hit more targets than he could. The announcers were actually embarrassing. They were trying to like talk about other things because they didn't know what to say. The guy's the MVP of the league. He couldn't hit a target.
To cover for him. We've been saying this for 2 years. You know, we've been saying this too. You can prop up somebody else like what do you say, Mark? Prop them up.
Like Weekend at Bernie's.
Right. Put him in a look. We've been saying this for 2 years about Lamar Jackson. Right when he came in the league, as soon as I saw him try to throw to the edge in that playoff game against Tennessee, you knew it was done for him. And you know who else knows it? Harbaugh. John Harbaugh knows what he's got in that quarterback. And they have a problem there.
They said
they have
he
a problem
wants an extension.
because you're right. He can't.
It doesn't seem to be. Baltimore doesn't.
I wouldn't do it.
To do it.
I wouldn't do it. But you know what? The Baltimore doesn't have the eggs to say no to him. They're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. They're not going to say no to him. They're going to give him that extension. It's a mistake. And you know what? I hope they do because that puts him in purgatory. I don't care. The bottom line is, no, he can't throw the edges. And once teams stack that box, okay, once they stack the box, and if you have decent corner play and you could put safeties out there to cover over the top, he can't throw that edge ball. He just can't. And God forbid they play against a good outside linebacker, somebody can get sideline to sideline. Then you're in a lot of trouble with this guy. And the other issue is, Ethan, with this kid is if you get up on that team, it's over. The key to beating the Ravens is to get a lead. If you get a lead on that team, there's no way on earth with the way they play. Yeah, you know what? If I got a 10-point lead on the Ravens, go ahead. Run the ball down the field. Take 10 plays to do it. I really don't care. It's not like it's Mahomes throwing that crosser, one play, it's a touchdown. Boom, done. That's not happening with Baltimore. So,
Ethan,
again,
to chat back in, what do you think? Do you think he deserves an extension?
Yeah, let us know. Let us know.
Let us know what you think.
So, Mark, listen, getting to the Patriots, look, it just keeps coming and coming and coming with Cam Newton. And then the writing just seems to be on the wall. And the more he talks now, Newton now comes out, he says, hey, he's like a god. He's unbelievable. He's an unbelievable teacher. He's just, is it getting out of hand at this point? Like, is it not believable? Because me, Mark, okay? I believe in Belichick. I'm not one of these guys. And just because Brady left, got stacked with players in Tampa, okay, and won, fantastic. Tom Brady's the best to ever do it. I'm pissed off that we let him go. I don't like the fact that they let him go. I was wrong, and they should have given him a 5-year deal. We've covered all that. But I don't disagree with what Cam Newton is saying about Belichick. I don't disagree with the fact that he's seen it all. He knows it all. He's a historian.
Chris,
he understands the game. What I question is, what's the motive behind it?
Well, listen, Chris, let's think about it, right? Look at the coaches around the league. By far, I mean, and I don't care. The local media guys over here love to beat up on Belichick, and because of the way he treats them, he doesn't like to answer their questions. You know what I mean? He's been doing it for 20 years, and they're sick of him, and so they're biased, right? But listen, if you're talking X's and O's, Chris, look around the league. There ain't another coach in this league that has the knowledge that he has in regards to X's and O's and game planning and strategy. He comes from a different era. Parcells and Bill Walsh and all those guys. Those guys, there ain't a coach in the league that could shine, never mind Belichick's shoes, Parcells and Bill Walsh and all these guys. He's from that era of coaches. Those were coaches. These guys today, they don't know what they'll have. These guys, you see how bad the coaching is every week, Chris.
No, it is with time management.
Oh my
with
God.
timeouts. With
Don't get me wrong. I do think you're right. A little bit of what Newton is doing is, he's placating a little bit.
Well, he's trying to get back on the team.
Get a job. I don't blame him. He's trying to get a job. But I do think, because let's face it, Newton, Chris, will say it how it is. I do think Newton was generally blown away by the amount of football knowledge Belichick had. And I really do think that he walked away impressed. I don't think he ever realized coming in here the amount of football knowledge that Belichick could spew out at him.
Well, not only that, but he says it with the amount he had to learn, with the amount he needs to learn. I mean, which goes to the next point we're going to make in a couple of minutes here about Mac Jones, but in the draft. But Mark, obviously he's posturing for a job. We know that. Okay. Mark, it's the reason why they were 7-9 with a 4-12 team. And I'll say this all night long. That team is a 4-12 team.
Maybe less than 4-12, Chris.
3-13, 4-12,
Maybe.
whatever.
Yeah.
But went 7-9 with a guy that threw how many? 8. He threw 8 touchdowns. I know he ran for some, but he threw 8 touchdowns. How the hell are you going to win in this league throwing 8 touchdowns by your quarterback? Which is a reason why, if maybe there was something wrong with his shoulder and he's going to come back right, or he was so confused at what was going on after COVID, Cam Newton, that it was affecting his performance, like he said. I don't know, but if it's starting to feel, Mark, an awful lot like this is going to be their quarterback next year.
Chris, here's what I think, and this is what you and I have been talking about.
And wait, Mark, and also answer this too when you make your point. So is Bill now just wanting to coach the guys he likes versus talent? Does he also want to just get guys on the cheap?
Well, that's been what's been insinuated, right? That now that he's gotten older, he only wants to coach the guys that he likes, and if he likes,
but if he gets them on the cheap,
so it's a combination of both. Right.
Well, make your point you were going to make.
So I think, Chris, and you and I have been talking about this. We all think he's going to make a play for Jimmy Garoppolo, right? But if it's not Jimmy Garoppolo, I think Cam Newton's coming back here, and I think he's going to draft the quarterback who maybe Newton's here for a year again, and the guy you draft becomes the quarterback the following year. But I do believe if they don't get Garoppolo, Chris, listen, they keep saying, "Oh, Mariota." Listen, you said it, Chris. He wants to get guys on the cheap. There's no way he's going to spend over $20 million on Mariota because of the incentives in Mariota's contract. If he plays 16 games and reaches certain benchmarks, you're going to pay. He's not over $20 million. He's not that kind of quarterback. He's not worth that kind of money. A lot of these guys, he's going to have to pay for. And are these guys much better? Are they that much better than Newton? If Newton's arm gets straightened out?
Well, this is the thing. If you're going to invest that kind of money into Mariota, it's got to be for more than a couple of years. It's got to be for several years that you're going to keep this guy and keep him around and hope that he comes back to form.
But I do think, Chris,
if you get Garoppolo
if he stays healthy, takes Belichick into retirement and buys him time to get a quarterback.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Garoppolo's at an age, Chris, he'd probably be here 5 years.
Yeah, if he could stay healthy, sure. Yeah, but
Right?
but
so he buys you time.
But everything you're hearing out of San Francisco is that they're happy with him. Look, San Francisco.
Listen, and then I read something yesterday that they're trying to pry Bridgewater out of Carolina because Carolina is looking for a draft picks.
Yeah, but I think that's still to keep. Yeah, but I think that's still to keep Garoppolo, and then Bridgewater will be that insurance policy if and when Garoppolo goes down.
Maybe.
I think San Fran's waiting for the big deal. They're waiting to see how this quarterback carousel's shaking out with Wilson because Wilson.
So let me ask you a question, Chris. Do
Wilson
you
wants
give
to
up
go to the Jets? The other one wants to go to Miami.
Chris,
Watson.
do you give up a pick? And somebody would you give up Gilmore and a pick to bring Garoppolo in?
No.
Okay.
You don't have to give up the player. I mean, you give up the pick.
Okay. All
the
right.
question is which pick.
But how desperate are we for a quarterback?
Well, we're desperate, but the point is, it's how much Bill likes this guy. I mean, he likes Garoppolo. He'll give up a second-round pick, which I don't think you should do. I think that's too expensive for him. But I could see Belichick doing something like that.
Well, Chris, listen, I can see him doing it too because we had the segment all year, Brady versus Belichick. Belichick brings back his guy who was the person he had in mind to replace Brady. That's why he wanted to move on from Brady. And now if Bill can win a Super Bowl with him, it's even. Okay, now what? You did your thing, I did my thing. Now what? No, but you did your thing, now I did my thing. Now what? Now we're even. So now what?
Well, yeah, look.
Belichick would love to do that with Garoppolo because it would make Bill look like, see, I knew what I was doing, but the owner had to get involved. I knew what I was doing.
And the other thing too with Cam Newton is just you see the flip flopping in with the Boston media now. Again, this flip flopping, and this is why we are the real deal New England feel, because we're going to tell you the way it is. We're not going to flip flop back and forth. When we screw up and make a mistake, we'll tell you. Okay, these guys are now saying, well, look, if you're gonna trade veteran for veteran, well, why not just keep Newton? If you're going to trade Newton for Bridgewater, if you're going to have Newton for Mariota, if it's going to be Newton for Fitzpatrick, which a lot of people are getting hungry on, a lot of people are starting to salivate and say, hey, let's just bring Fitzpatrick in for a year or two, and he can get it done. Look, if you're going to trade veteran for veteran, we'll just keep Cam Newton. These are the same people that said, Bridgewater would be better, Mariota would be better, Alex Smith would be better.
But Chris, listen. No matter who you bring in, right? Let's say it. You need if you don't bring in wide receivers, I don't care who you bring in, you're not winning.
No, I know. And listen, and that's the other thing too. So when you go to the free agency, you're going to have to spend money regardless who you bring in. And the question
first of all, Chris,
always, are they going to want to come?
Chris, if you don't have a quarterback to recruit anybody to come here, you're going to have to overpay. Because of what they've done for the last 20 years, are the Patriots willing to overpay to bring in tight end, receiver? Are they willing?
I don't know.
And they're going to have to. Chris, interesting release today, or he's getting released within the next 48 hours. I think he's got some. Van Noy. No, I think he's got some thread left in the tires. Not Van Noy. The tight end for Minnesota, Rudolph's going to be a cap cut.
Yeah. That was somebody the Patriots looked at. Okay, that's someone they looked at to try to bring in when he was signing that deal with Minnesota.
I'll be honest
but
again,
with you, Chris,
it's age, Chris. But I think he can give you red zone catches.
Yeah,
at that position.
Reach. I mean, that's not sexy to me, man.
It's not sexy, but it's a Bill Belichick move.
Well, yeah, put it this way: anything's an upgrade to what they got a tight end right now. I mean, anything is. You going out there, throw the pads on and get a tight end. You're going to be better. The kids I coach right now, I got a kid that's a stud at tight end. That kid, put him on that team. He'll be better than what the hell they have now.
Van Noy, though, you know what? You brought up Van Noy. Listen, he was released, and who's tweeting emojis to him is Devin McCourty, was already tweeting emojis.
Oh, yeah. I foresee him being back on New England. I think that's going to happen. And then the
Chris,
other guys.
He will help that defense. If you got Hightower back and Chung back, if you add a couple of other pieces, I think defensively you'll be fine with those guys.
But the question is with Van Noy, and I know we're a little bit all over the place, but with a question like Van Noy, what the hell happened? Because he didn't have a bad season. Chris, he was a cap cut. I know that, but he had a pretty good season, Mark.
No,
Something else had to have happened there.
I don't know.
Maybe Flores just got tired of his act. The way.
I don't know
Van
though.
Noy
Van Noy
is.
said though, Chris, he played injured.
All that.
Like Van Noy was a little bitter. He said, "I played injured. They wanted a leader. I was a leader for the young guys." And he basically was saying in so many words, and that's the thanks I get. So he's leaving with a little bit of a bitter taste in his mouth. He would love nothing better probably than to come back to New England and stick it to
Miami. Yeah, look,
Miami.
And like you said, they've paid him his money in bonus in
he's got a signing bonus and all that stuff. So he probably would come here for as you wanted to say, cheap.
Well, and then you got guys like those second, third tier wide receivers. New England was interested in Humphreys. He was released by Indianapolis.
I think Humphreys has been hurt since he
left.
Look,
he was hurt with Indy, but he played every game in Tennessee. He's 27. He's only 27, Mark.
Chris, you know who I like? I like the kid the Raiders released for cap purposes because I liked him when he was a free agent with the Chargers, Terrell Williams. I think he fits our system perfectly, and he's probably a second-tier guy, but I think he's excellent.
Well, who do you like out there? Who do you like? Chat in. Let us know. Who do you like that the Patriots should bring in free agency? Yeah, we like Godwin. I like Robinson. I think Robinson's the guy to overpay. But look, don't sleep on Humphreys as a second, third guy. Mark, he's better than what they have.
Chris, those guys are going to be all franchise. Robinson's going to be franchise. Godwin's going to be franchise. Yeah. You watch. None of those guys are going to be on the free agent market.
Well, Mark, there's a possibility then if you think about it, and if they bring Cam Newton back and they don't get these, and they don't get, they don't get significant free agents in here, there's a potential in the AFC East next season to have Russell Wilson with the Jets.
Wilson's not coming to the Jets, Chris.
It was one of his teams. Deshaun Watson. If the Jets blow Seattle away with a trade offer, he'll go to the Jets. He's already said it. So Wilson to the Jets. Watson wants to go to Miami, and you got Allen in Buffalo. Holy crap! What the hell does that do to New England? Are you going to have Cam Newton in New England?
Chris, listen. All I'm going to say
talk about a nosedive.
Listen, and I don't know. Listen, and this is something nobody wants to talk about. All they keep saying, they want to just keep piling on Bill and piling on Bill. Listen, do you honestly think in your heart of heart, in your mind, do you honestly think that Belichick is going to put a team in the field next year that Brady is going to come in here and destroy, knowing what the whole Brady-Belichick thing is? You honestly think he's going to allow Tampa to come in and kick the shit out of us? He's not going to put a team out there with a quarterback that can win?
Mark, he may not have a choice.
Chris,
he may not have a choice because if the guys don't show up, if free agents don't come in here,
you're going to have to pay. You're going to have to pay.
Yeah, but they've never demonstrated the willingness and to want to pay anybody.
Well, Chris, he's going to have to pay now because what?
Put it this way: if he brings Cam Newton back, it's only because he's getting him cheap, and Cam Newton's, Cam Newton's right up his,
I'm going to make a bold prediction. He's going to get himself a quarterback, and it ain't going to be Cam Newton. He's going to come in and swoop in, and he's going to end up with either Garoppolo, Watson, or Wilson.
Never going to happen.
One of those three guys.
Mark, what do you got? What do you got in that little cup over there now?
It may just be Garoppolo. I'm not
Last
saying
week
that.
I had the Harvard koozie out. I think you put something in there and now drinking out of it. Listen. They're never going to get Wilson and Watson.
Okay, then he'll settle for Garoppolo. But he's going to end up with one of those three guys. You watch.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. And then in the draft, I mean, Charlie Weiss. Look, Mark, before I kept talking about Mac Jones saying, hey, because I think he'll be there at 15. And I keep talking about unless
Charlie
his hype.
Weiss has had one too many Mai Tais.
unless Mac Jones' hype gets so high that he goes in the top 10, which happens and it can happen. Listen, let me make my point.
You didn't like Jones when we brought him up last time.
Mark, will you please right now?
You're starting to flip-flop like these New England people.
I'm telling you, the more I look at this, the more I watch some film on him, the more I see on him, okay? The problem that I have with Mac Jones. The problem that I have with Mac Jones is that he played with NFL receivers, and there was never a guy closer than 10 yards from his receiver. So he didn't really have to be that precise and accurate. And he played behind a Pro Bowl offensive. He played behind an NFL offensive line, okay? But you could say, Mark, you can use that argument for the running back there. You can use that argument for the wide receivers there. You can use that argument for all of them there. The thing with Mac Jones that I like, that I don't like in Trey Smith, Trey Lance is Mac Jones is intelligent. He can you already heard Newton talk about how tough, and I know, Joe, I know we got to get the break, but you already talk about, how Newton already talked about how difficult of a system this is to pick up, Well, you want a guy with some intelligence. They're saying he can make all the throws. He doesn't have as strong of an arm as Brady. Now, there's some guys like Mel Kiper that are making comparisons to Brady. Now, he said it. He said, look, he's not Tom Brady. He's not going to beat Tom Brady. We understand that. But the intelligence level in order to play in that offense, this kid has it. Yeah. So,
and listen, from all accounts, and from all accounts at Alabama, Chris, the kid was a leader in the huddle. Yes, he had NFL talent around him, but the kid was still a leader, they said.
So we'll see what happens in the draft. But if he's at 15, you say, well, 15 is too high to take him. Mark, look, if you like a quarterback and you're high on a quarterback, you take the quarterback. Whether he's too high to take him there or not, you take him at 15. Steve chats in, and Steve, welcome back to the show. I haven't heard from you in a while. I agree with Catone. He will bring back a quarterback. No way he sticks with Cam or anyone else on the roster. Listen, Steve, yeah, I get what you're saying. Okay, I think he would like to have Garoppolo, but I'm not sure if San Fran's going to let him go. If no Garoppolo, it's going to be Cam. It's going to be Cam if no Garoppolo. I mean, I just feel that with every sense of me, So, and Steve, let us know if you agree with that or disagree with that. But, and Mark, we didn't get to it. We got to get the break, but I really wanted to talk about that 17-game schedule they talked about. That now February 13th is going to be the Super Bowl, and basically what they're going to make it the 18-week season. And this is the part I like about it. The NFC from 2 years ago. So whoever the AFC team played 2 years ago, the AFC played the NFC division. Whichever division you played 2 years ago, in the ranking in that division, that's who you're going to match up against. So 1 versus 1, 2 versus 2, 3 versus 3, which means
for that extra game.
So it's the matchup from 2 years ago, okay, in the same ranking of last year. Does that make sense? So you're 2020. So it'll be Dallas. So Dallas will come to New England next season.
Nice.
I like it. I have no problem with it. More football is better than less. When we come back, going to talk some baseball. We're going to have our expert NASCAR guy on, Chad Campbell. We want to talk to him, talk about the race that just took place over the weekend. More Corso and Catone after this.
How do I get to the point where I understand my passion enough to communicate it outward and dial myself in so that I can craft my own sauce? But you don't have anyone that's going to give you the right advice. Now you do. We've been discussing where we live and what areas do we want to always talk about. And really, it's startup, it's finance, and drive. We are Special Sauce Podcast.
Back in with Corso and Catone, and had a lot of Patriots talk. We went over, but you know what? That's us. That's us, Mark. The real deal New England feel. And we're always going to want to talk Patriots, because that's what's NFL, Mark. NFL, it's 365 days a year, always, always, always. And free agency's coming. Free agency is going to be starting in a couple of weeks, and I'm beyond excited about it. Beyond excited
until we don't sign anybody.
Nobody come to New England, right?
Yeah.
So, Mark, listen. I want to talk about baseball real quick before we get Chad on. So they're playing now. They're in spring training. Okay. We want to talk about the Red Sox, talk about the Yankees a little bit. These are the teams that we follow. These are the teams that we talk about. So Mark, what are the major issues? What do you see as the major issues, with the Red Sox coming into this year? I mean, are they a team? We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Are they a team with their payroll that should be competing right now? I mean, I don't think so, but you're
Chris, what are the issues with the Red Sox? Okay, I'm going to read you a few names. Okay, Garrett Richards, Martin Perez, Nick Pivetta, Tanner Houck.
Nick Pivetta, wasn't he an NBA official?
Yeah, who are those guys?
Well, didn't Erod come back though?
They're possibly their pitchers besides Erod.
Yeah, Mark, I don't know who any of those guys are.
Do I?
I never heard of any of those guys.
Chris,
Mark.
I don't think Bloom knows who they are. I don't think the GM knows who they are either.
That's your hey, listen, it's what we talked about a couple of weeks ago with Hein Bloom. This is like basically the Tampa Rays. This is like your typical small market mentality. Yeah, Mark, I'm with
they're
you.
Young guys, they're the low market, granted, Erod may come back and Sale, maybe he'll come back in the summer. And Evaldi, you never know what Evaldi's going to give you, but
I don't think we're going to see Sale this year.
You don't think so?
Nah.
Well,
no. I don't think you're going to see him pitch for Boston again.
Well, I don't know if I agree with that, Chris.
I just think he's shot. Every time you start to feel like there's a road back for him, there's something a setback.
They've even got guys like at first base. Speaking of that small market mentality, they got a guy Bobby Dalber or Michael Chavez, who Chavez has played a little bit. Second base, Enrique Hernandez. Who are these guys? I know Hernandez they got from the Dodgers, but he's like he barely hits over the Mendoza line. You got Bogarts at short, and you got Devers at third. Those are the only two guys I know who they are. Outfield, Frenchie Cordero. Who's that? Frenchie Cordero. I'm thinking of Happy Days.
Oh, that they needed to trade for. That's that nice. That's that nice trade they got from Kansas City.
Pinky Tuscadero, remember?
Yeah.
Pinky Tuscadero from Happy Days.
Yeah, Mark, you're about 1,000 years old now. Okay, seriously.
Chris,
you think any of these people chatting in know who the hell that is?
Frenchie Cordero, Alex Verdugo, and Hunter Renfroe.
It's ugly.
I mean, and they got JD Martinez as a DH. I mean, come on. This is a potential lineup for the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah, $200 million.
So listen, I guess my point is this, Chris. Do we think they'll win 80 games, 90 games? What do we think? I don't know. We'll make our predictions at the end of the spring training. We'll predict. What
are they playing?
We'll go around the divisions. I think they're going to attempt to play. It's either 162 or 100. I think they're playing 162, Chris.
Yeah. Oh, I thought it was 10 less than that, but
maybe it is. Maybe it's 152, but they're going to get close.
I don't think they're 500. I don't think they're 500. I just don't. And they're certainly not going to challenge Tampa and New York.
Chris, not with that lineup I just read, unless something strange happens and one of those guys that I never heard of is a 20-game winner pitcher. And their bullpen is they got
Mark,
they've
already used the mercy rule. What do you think of this mercy rule in spring trading where if you throw basically the mercy rule is this: if in one inning your pitcher throws 20 pitches, he comes out. That's it. To save the arm and so on and so forth. They just started playing, and Boston's already had to use it.
Yeah, they've
already had to use it. Got a guy throwing 20 pitches in one inning in spring training, Mark.
Yeah,
they have no pitching staff.
No, so the Red Sox are going to, I think the Red Sox, if they play 500 baseball, they should be happy this year. And I don't think they can contend for the division. That's for sure. I mean, I was watching the Yankees Sunday with my, on MLB Network, their first game. And if they can stay healthy, I mean, their pitching staff, they got some question marks, right? They got the kid Talon from Pittsburgh they brought in. They brought in Kluber from Cleveland, who's looked good in spring training. But can those guys stay healthy? The two of them have been historically injured. If those two guys stay healthy, they could be 15, 20-game winners with Cole. Then you got to fill out the back end of the rotation for the Yankees. And then the lineup.
You think they'll challenge Tampa? Do you think they'll challenge LA?
Chris, if they stay healthy, their lineup is gross. It's disgusting.
Are they enough to win it against LA?
I think they can. I think they finally will get to that point. I think they could represent if they stay healthy, they'll represent the American League this year. I don't know if they can beat the Dodgers. The Dodgers, Chris, are just loaded everywhere.
Yeah, they got it all. I'm not sure. Yeah, they could go back to back, Mark.
They could go back to back. I mean, I'd like to see as a Yankee fan, and I'd like to see obviously the Yankees at least get to that point, but we'll see what happens. But even though I'm a Yankee fan, I'm just looking at this Red Sox lineup, Chris, and I just don't see it. I mean, even if you're a Red Sox, a diehard Red Sox fan, and I want some of our Red Sox fans to chat in because we know we got a lot of them out there. Chat in. What do they think about this Red Sox lineup, Chris? Do they think they can win 80 games, 90 games? What do they think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
They might win 70 games with that lineup.
Listen, like I said, there's nothing in me that thinks that team. Okay, there's nothing in me that thinks that team is going to go 500. Nothing.
Chris, if they go, you know what they're going to have to play? And Cora was in the National League at one point as a bench assistant coach. They're going to have to play old National League baseball. They're going to have to play small ball. They're going to have to hope that they can get some kind of pitching. I never heard of these guys, but they're going to hope they get some pitching. They play defense. They play small ball. They're not going to put up runs with that lineup, I don't believe. With those, they got 3 or 4 guys at the top of the order, and then the drop off, it's like you fall off a cliff.
Well, like I said again, Mark, I just don't see them going 500. And look, some of these, like we talked about that mercy rule. We talked about that mercy rule. I mean, is that a good rule, do you think? Well,
I think it'll save arms. Chris, listen, the Major League Baseball has to do something to infuse, like, in other words, something back into the game. You know what I would do away with, Chris? You know what I would change to try to get back to something of more a semblance of, listen, what got fans back into watching baseball in the steroid era? Home runs. Everybody was hitting the ball at 800 feet. People wanted to show up and watch that.
Yeah.
Get rid of that stupid.
No, I agree.
Chris, get rid of the shift. They make that shift illegal. Everybody has to play their positions. You put 5 guys on one side of the field. Really? So they can stop the ground ball. You know what? Forget the shift. Get rid of that rule. Make it a rule. You can't go into a shift. Everybody play their traditional positions, and maybe you'll get some more excitement because you'll see more hits. You'll see more balls put in play rather than these foolish shifts that these people go into. Make that illegal. There's no shifts in baseball anymore. Play the sport the way it was meant to be played. Yeah. 9 guys, play your position, and maybe you'll get some excitement back. They got to do something.
Yeah. So, and listen, I wanted to get to NASCAR, get to our NASCAR minute. It looks like Joe, we having some problems getting Chad on right now.
I thought he was on.
He just jumped back in. So if you want to admit him in, we'll get to it.
Okay. All right, Joe, let him in. Let him in, Joe. So let him in, Joe, and we'll talk to Chad. So joining us right now on our expert hotline is Chad Campbell with our NASCAR minute. And Chad, sorry to keep you waiting, but welcome into Corso and Catone.
Hey guys, man, you got your expert on here. I got a hold. You got technical. When you sending a camera crew out here, that's what I'm waiting for.
Yeah, hey, listen, that's up to Joe. I mean, he runs the ship. I'm telling you, and he runs a tight ship. So we'll see if we get that camera.
Hey, Mark, man, hey, when I first turned this on, I thought I was watching Major League. I just hear you talking about, Serrano, Rick. Who are these freaking guys? You sound like Major League, the construction worker.
Yeah.
This is on NASCAR guy, and this is why he's going to tell us why NASCAR should be king over baseball, which, you know what?
Come on now, Chris, come on now. You know I'm a baseball guy. Come on now,
I can't disagree with that because I think I want to watch paint dry and rather than watch a baseball game. But Chad, listen, I watched the race over the weekend. So now we've had 3 of them. We've had the 2 Daytona races, and now they were at Homestead. Okay. So talk to me about this race because, Byron won this race in the 24 car. Okay. And we talked a little bit last week about why are all the same guys up top? Why are all the same guys up top? Why are we seeing Busch, Harvick, Truex, Larson when he was with the other
Chip Ganassi
team?
Yeah.
Now was Byron the guy that won? Was he with Hendricks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So last week we talked about that, Chad, where all the traditional guys, Busch, all these guys are up there, and now the first 3 races we see the Daytona 500, right? We see Bell win that race, who's not a huge name. Right. We see McDowell win the Daytona Road Course. And then
McDowell won the 500 and Bell won the road course.
Yeah. I got those reversed. But okay.
Right.
The road course was Bell, the 500 was McDowell, and then you have this week you got Byron winning this. So Chad, how is this happening right now?
Well, Daytona, if you talk to all these drivers from when I started watching it until now, they would always tell you the season starts after Daytona. So you can't really put much stock into Daytona because anybody can win it. So Michael McDowell winning that's not a big shocker. It is a shocker because he's from Arizona, and Arizona usually can't win anything. So that was a shock. But as far as Bell and Byron go, I mean, the road course is fairly new, so we don't know who's going to be good there. It's only the second points race that they've ran on that course, so it's hard to say who's going to be good there. But I mean, Christopher Bell. this guy's won a lot of races. He won a title in the Truck Series in 2017. He got 16 wins in the Xfinity Series in 3 years. So this guy knows how to drive a race car. And as far as William Byron goes, same thing with him. He won an Xfinity title as 1 year. So these guys know how to win races. But I'm not going to press any panic buttons with the same old suspects not struggling, because they're going to win races. Like last year, I mean, you had between just two guys, Hamlin and Harvick, two of those guys you mentioned, 16 wins just between those two guys. That's almost half the season. So picking two races in NASCAR is about one game in football. So if the Patriots, in their heyday, if they lost the first game, it's one game. So I'm not going to press any panic buttons with these other guys. And with Bell and Byron,
Cincinnati.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, this one's on to Vegas, which is Kyle Busch's hometown. Hopefully he can have some better luck there.
Okay, well, listen, Chad, you bring up Kyle Busch, okay, and that and I'm watching this race on Sunday. Mark, you watched the race too, didn't you?
I did watch a little of it. You said
was a snoozer.
I watched it.
I don't know. Listen, I always find the race exciting because I like how it's produced. I like the broadcast. I like what they do. I like how they get in the car, talk to the guys. I find
Clint Boyer is amazing.
I find Boyer and Gordon entertaining. I think Boyer is upstaging Gordon a little bit now, but
right, and they had that big fight back in Phoenix, back several years ago. So they put them together. It was a pretty
Chad,
genius thing.
I was reading an article this week, Chad, that said that when Hendricks is ready to turn to walk away, he's going to turn the keys over to the whole organization to Gordon.
Oh yeah, he's talked about that for a while, and then Jeff Gordon actually is part owner of the 48, which is now the 48 car. So he's already got he's got stake in that company.
Yeah. Well, so Chad, you had mentioned Kyle Busch, okay, and listen, I know you're a big Kyle Busch fan. I understand, and you like him a lot. So tell me what's going on with him. I mean, I'm watching this race. I'm watching the previous races. He's in there. He gets in that top 15.
He's not a factor.
Yeah, I mean, you see him sniff into the top 5 sometimes. If they're pitting and all that, and then he drops. Then you see both by the end of the race. Is it a team issue? Is it a driver issue? A pit? What is the problem? What's happening right now?
I think it's a little bit of everything. He's if you go back to 2019. He did win a championship, but he struggled the whole last 3 quarters of that year, and they changed the packages on these cars. They decreased the horsepower exponentially on a vast majority of their tracks. So a guy like Kyle Busch, he's a driver. He's probably most of those drivers will tell you he is by far the most talented guy out there. He can win a race in a lawnmower, but when you're hamstrung and you're handcuffed with the horsepower, where these 1.5-mile tracks, you're not even lifting off the gas, so you can't really outdrive anybody. Everything's, to me, is one in the shop now. So back in the up until 2019, everything was the driver in that car. You can make adjustments in the car. You could go in and dive bomb, outbrake people, and you could see him just fly through the field. Now I think he's just discouraged, and he's vocalized.
Chad, what did they do that for? Did they do that for safety purposes?
They did. They said for safety, but also they're trying to, from what I understood, trying to level the field and make the races more exciting.
Okay.
And it's like when they put restrictor plates on the cars. Like I said, Daytona is really not a factor of how the season is going to go, because you just get in the line and go, and hopefully you just stay out of trouble. Yeah. But so he's vocalized his displeasure with his package, and I think that's a part of it. And also, anybody that knows how Kyle Busch was when he first got in there, he was a hothead. He would whine and complain, and he was fighting with people,
so
and he was winning races.
Favors now,
and he's not doing that. It's I don't know if he's lost it, but yeah, he's got to find something, because he's just been a non-factor for the last season and a half.
Well, and listen, we're getting short on time, Chad, but our New England guy, Joey Logano, he's always running in that top 5, top 8, top 10. You know, he's always there. So New England fans can can be happy with that. You know, can be happy with Joey Logano. And Chad, listen, before we let you go, I know that you are an Arizona Cardinals fan. So really quick, give me 30 seconds on what do you think this J.J. Watt signing? What do you think about that? First of all, it's 2 years,
I didn't even know.
$1 million.
Yeah, I haven't watched football the last few years for a variety of reasons. I won't bring those things up. So, I mean, I just know, I don't know how he's played the last 2 years, but I know he's an excellent human being. So you can't go wrong there. But, so I guess it's good. I don't know how good that is money-wise based on his play. I haven't paid attention to football the last couple of years, but I did want to apologize for last week. I forgot to bring up the most glaring connection with NASCAR in Boston, and that is Mr. John Henry and his part ownership of Roush Fenway Racing with Fenway Sports Group. They got 50% of that in 07, so that's a big, huge deal with the Boston fans there. So John Henry, you watch those number 6 car and number 17 car. Those have some Boston roots.
See, Mark, and that's why the Red Sox suck so bad, because Henry's putting all his time into the NASCAR circuit, which tells me that's king over baseball. Chad, listen, we always appreciate you coming on and your insight on NASCAR. You're teaching us a lot, and we're going to keep going with that. So thanks, Chad, for joining us.
Thanks, Chad.
All right, guys. Rowdy Nation. Let's go. All right, guys.
Yeah.
That's Chad Campbell, our expert NASCAR on the expert hotline. And that was brought to you by JG Productions. Log on, excellent work, podcast, and more. JG Productions. Yeah, Moxie. I mean, this is why. This is the reason why. But hey, Joey Logano's doing well. He's up on that. He's up on the top, and he's a New England guy. So, hey, listen, and Paula chats in about NASCAR Minute, Shift Gears. Hey, listen, we're going to be talking about NASCAR. I like it. Mark likes it, or he's getting to like it. So New England needs to like it because
Chris, it'll never be king over baseball. No, I'm just going to give you that.
Because they're those traditionalists. As time passes, hey, it did it for me, man. It did it for me. So when we come back, we're going to have our final thoughts, closing remarks, more Corso and Catone after this.
From one of our sponsors. No one ever thinks they will be in the need of a criminal or traffic lawyer, but things happen. Corso Law Group is Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Their 20-plus years experience and attention to detail has helped thousands of people all across this great country who found themselves in a situation in Arizona. So whether it's a traffic ticket or if you need reduced DUI or more serious issues, call or go online to CorsoLawGroup.com and talk with these expert attorneys who I know will help you. Corso Law Group.
Back in with Corso and Catone. Mark, again, time has flown by, and we are at the end of the show. Mark, give me your final thoughts for today. He's got a pause. He's got a long pause ahead of him. My God, he's got a lot of thoughts going on in that brain of yours.
I have a lot of thoughts in my brain.
I'm telling you, he's got the koozie with the thing inside.
I have a lot of thoughts in my brain this week. A lot of different things. I'm going to tell you what.
Drink responsibly.
Yes, absolutely. Drink responsibly. I think my final thought is I'm actually getting a little bit excited about the Bruins. I was chastising the Bruins a few weeks ago, but after watching, I really watched the last few games and really analyzed the last few games. And I think you brought up the fact about the seeding in the playoffs. The way this team is constructed, Chris, if they had a veteran, it could be their year. It really could be their year. And I've watched some other hockey games too over the last week and a half. These other teams that are supposed to be good. I like our chances.
Yeah, Mark, listen, my final thought for today, listen, the Celtics basketball, I just think they're a big bunch of individual selfish babies. So I don't want to talk about that. With the Patriots, okay? They're going to have to spend and they're going to have to overspend. I do see Cam Newton. I do see Cam Newton ending up back on this team if they can't get Jimmy Garoppolo. I believe that. I think that will happen, which means it may hurt. Depending on when, it may hurt the free agency class that you're going to have in there. But I will say, I'm not in complete agreement yet with Kuiper and Weiss, but Mac Jones is climbing up my draft board. I like his intelligence. I like the way he throws a ball. I just don't know if we should buy into him because of so much talent that he had around him.
Oh, Chris, just one quick thing. I know we're over, but you brought up free agency. Nate Burleson, who's on, Monday, he's on the NFL Network, and he's also on a couple of other different shows. He said he thinks the Patriots will thrive in free agency because Belichick is still a draw. He disagrees with these people that are saying Belichick isn't a draw. If he's willing to pay some money, he's still a draw. He thinks that they're going to have a big free agency.
Okay. Yeah. Mark, again, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, we know the problems that we're having. And listen, Mark, before we go, we have to take a call and get to our little friend, okay, who's calling in. We have to get to our little friend, Olivia. Olivia, you're on the air. You're on Corso and Catone. Go ahead.
I heard my tongue, and I wish you were here to save me. Go Pat!
Thank you, Olivia. Thanks for the call. We've gone a couple of shows without hearing from Olivia. I missed
Olivia.
We missed her. She's gonna. And Olivia, listen, we're gonna allow you to give your picks in free agency and in the draft coming up. So we're happy to hear from Olivia as always. Mark, some people.
I know Olivia wouldn't have taken N'Keal Harry.
No, for sure. She's got more intelligence than that. So, Mark, some people to thank tonight. Want to thank the people over at Special Sauce Podcast, the good people at Jag Media Productions, Corso Law Group, Arizona's leading criminal law firm. Allow us to be your voice. And the NASCAR Minute was sponsored by Jag Media Productions. I think I said JG, but it's Jag Media Productions. Studio 42 Designs in North Providence, Rhode Island, and Mountain View Home Watch and Security, Scottsdale's leading private home security firm. We also want to thank our longtime producer and director. You finally got to hear him tonight, Joe Guarneri. Thank you, Joe, for keeping it all together and maintaining that. Join us next week on Tuesday, 7 p.m., every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern. And next week, Mark, we're going to get into what is the best jersey in all of sports. And what's the best jersey for all the four major sports teams? Don't say anything now. Don't give it now.
Chris, also, we should have more definitive information on these franchise tags because I think the clock is starting to tick on that.
Yep. See, you're getting ahead of me, Mark. You're getting ahead of me. You always get ahead of me. I'm telling you, he's wired tonight. We are going to get into the franchise tags, and again, we're going to get into that jersey. So we want to hear from you next week. Call, chat in. Joe will have this up on YouTube all week if you want to listen again. And I also want to give a special happy birthday to my son CJ, who's 15 today. So happy birthday, CJ. For Mark Catone.
Happy birthday, CJ.
For Mark Catone, I'm Chris Corso. So long, everyone.